G'day there, cobbers and cobbettes. It's your boy I Read Reddit, back at it again with another entitled parent saga. Now, on today's episode, we're going to finish off the storyline for Amin Abdul Awal. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I hope you guys love it. So, we have part 6 from Entitled Dad Says You Have to Marry Your Cousin Because No One Else Is Willing to Marry Her. Revenge is best served on a cold platter. So, a lot happened over this week. I managed to almost complete my assignment, writing in the last few pages. The revenge that just finished today, and to top it off, I got my first job interview. So on Tuesday I borrowed 3 of my friend's phones. He has like 4 phones, and he let me borrow all of them. I bought 3 cheap SIM cards, and saved the entitled dad's number in one of them, the entitled mother's number in the second, and the entitled kid's number in the third. I created 3 WhatsApp accounts, and for the entitled mother's phone, I put a picture of Chris Hemsworth. For the second one, I put a picture of Chris Evans, and for the third one, I put a picture of Kate Upton. By the way, they don't know about the people in these pictures that I put up. They live in a village all their lives, and thus have never seen them. I then started sending them pictures and other stuff. I began with hi and hello, and some small talk before using flirting with them, using the different phones. During all of this, the entitled dad kept on calling me on my normal number, and continued to bug me. I began sending them pictures of the people on the display pic and more. I even sent them a porno. I continued on this for like 2 days before I sent this message to them. To the entitled mother I said on the secondary phone, "Leave your husband and come live with me. I have a lot of money." And she says, "Yeah, I would love to." And using the entitled mother with the secondary phone I say, "Great, send me £2,000 by tomorrow morning. I'll do anything." I did the same with the entitled dad and kid. Now, to say they were desperate would be a big understatement. That same night, I got a call from my main phone from the entitled dad. "We need money!" "For what?" "Just give it, we need it!" I didn't block him because I needed his number on my main phone for this thing to work out. The entitled mother and kid did the same thing. The kid even tried sending bad photos to the fake account. I continued to flirt with them. Eventually on Friday, I decided to tell my mum about the revenge. She laughed and told me to continue. Today I found out that the entitled mother caught the entitled dad texting someone, me, and she saw the display pic and freaked out. The dad saw her phone and also freaked out. They got in a fight and I think they divorced because the mother and the dad were cheating, and vice versa. Just now I got a call from the innocent cousin, the older sister, saying that the entitled mother went back to her mum's village. The entitled dad and the entitled kid have been outcasted, and the older sister has been taken by my nice uncles. I texted the entitled mother and entitled dad using my secondary number and told them that they are too poor and that they are both ugly as fudge. I told the kid that she'll never get married and blocked them on the secondary numbers before deleting the accounts and taking screenshots of all the chats. I sent the screenshots to the entitled mother and the entitled father's parents, and they were livid. I just got a call from the entitled mother's mother saying that she's sorry for what her daughter did, and I got a call from the entitled dad's dad apologizing on behalf of him. Like I said, I will destroy them, and so I did. By the way, the innocent cousin, or the older daughter, is now in good hands. Despite being like away from the entitled family for 12 hours, she's already had 2 marriage proposals from really respectable families, and I hope they treat her well. Our next story is titled, Entitled Teacher Says, "You can't go to your mother's funeral until you pass all of your exams next month." Cast of our story are FF, who's 18 years old, friends, and the entitled principal / biggest douche in the world. My friend went to a boarding school for like 1 year after grade 11. Then he made many friends. One of these friends was a friend's friend, FF. His mother was severely ill, and unfortunately due to her illness she died. FF's father was also severely ill. Due to the loss of his wife, who was married to him for over 40 years, FF's dad's emotional health deteriorated. As any normal son would do, FF asked the entitled parent if he could go home and come back in 1 month. With all the wisdom in the world, the entitled principal responds, "What is more important, your lessons or your own mother's funeral?" FF was really taken aback by this. The entitled principal then has the audacity to say, "I'll make you a deal. If you pass your exams next month, Then you can go. Now, I would like to point out that FF was one of the boarding's top students. He never failed any exams, and furthermore, he saved on multiple occasions by getting those grades. FF says, "Listen, my mum died. Her funeral is tomorrow." Well, I don't care. I'll bring you the evidence. Please, it is literally the last time I'll ever get to see my mum. Well, I don't care. You didn't let me go when she was almost dying in the hospital. At least let me go now, please. No means no. Stop being stubborn and go back to class. Please, I'm imploring you. I will never ask for any holidays after this one. Please, I am begging you. The entitled principal then proceeds to call security to take the FF back to class. For the rest of the day, friend of a friend was extremely sad and became super antisocial. In the evening, he tries one more time, but gets the same answer. This is when he flips out. "I've had enough of your bullcrap. I'm leaving whether you like it or not." Principal says, "If you leave, then I'll make sure you do not come back here ever again." "Fine by me, this place is crap anyway." "What did you just say, you entitled brat?" "Are you fudging deaf? I said I'm leaving this place. It's crap." With that, FF just leaves and goes back home. By the way, from the boarding to his home, it was a 4-hour drive. FF managed to just about get in time for the burial rituals and was not able to see his mother's face. About a month later, the entitled principal calls his dad, and he says, "Your son has disrespected the institution, so we have taken measures. Your son by default has failed all exams and will have to redo the year." His dad yells at how the school has disrespected his son by not allowing him to go to the funeral and how FF already goes to a better place. This ticks off the entitled principal, and he demands that the father pay the fees for the rest of the year. The father's dad straight up refuses. In the end, the school got shut down because students began leaving the school, including my original friend, after the other one left. Apparently, during the 1 month between the phone call and the friend of a friend's mother's death, the students started a revolution and began leaving the boarding school to go to better boarding schools. I don't know how the friend of the friend and his family are doing now, but I assume he's doing well. Our next story is titled, "Entitled Teacher Defends an Attempted Murderer." This happened when I was in year 11, age 16. Context: I was a few months away from my GCSE exams. Normally, we aren't allowed to go upstairs into the classrooms during lunch, but on this particular day, my maths teacher told us to go up the hallway through lunch for extra booster classes. Our cast is absolutely massive, and I'm gonna have a hard time keeping up with all these voices. EK, Screaming Banshee, entitled kid age 12, height 4'7", important later, skinny as a twig. Me, 5'9", skinny as a twig. DG, disciplinary monitor, entitled teacher also. A, admin. MT, maths teacher, great guy, 6'3", also important later. F1, friend, who's a big fat guy, also important later. F2, friend, also big fat guy, also important later apparently. F3, friend, skinny as a twig but tall as frick, 6'7", apparently not important later. And Big P, principal, Samaritan. Me and F1, 2, and 3 decided to go upstairs early, as we finished our lunch and had nothing else to do. Yeah, we were kind of nerds. So we enter our classroom and chill around for a bit, and the entitled kid enters, and he says, "What are you doing here?" "Oh, the math teacher told us we could come upstairs. We have a booster with him." The entitled kid proceeds to walk into the classroom. Now, I don't mind him being in the classroom, but the thing is, if he was seen, then we would have gotten in trouble. Since I'm a safe guy, I allowed him to stay. As time passed, the entitled kid was becoming more and more aggressive, screaming and throwing punches. And I say, "Kid, calm down, mate." And he goes, "Shut the fudge up." I sit back down. And as the class began to fill up, friend 3 told the entitled kid to get out, as we were about to have our booster session. The entitled kid proceeds to punch friend 3, who then sits back down as the year before he was accused of bullying. What is going on here? I say to him, "Entitled kid, you need to get out. We're about to start our booster session." By now the class was half full, and he goes, "Leave me alone." The kid starts screaming like a fudging banshee and starts punching and kicking me. Now, his punch didn't necessarily hurt, but his kicks did. I grabbed his right arm and twisted it behind his back to subdue him by holding him to the wall. My left hand was holding his head, and my right hand was holding his arm behind his back. Friend 1, 2, and 3 got up and called a teacher. And I say to him, "If you calm down and stop punching and kicking me, I'll let you leave." "Okay, I will not punch and kick you," he said in a calm voice. "Okay, now calm down." I then let go. And guess what? Big mistake. The entitled kid decides to swing at me, hitting my right arm, and I'm now in shock. He screams like he's a Super Saiyan or something, and I go, "What the heck is wrong with you?" Now all this happened at the back of the classroom, where all the stationery is kept. The entitled kid notices a box of scissors and begins to throw them at me like they were throwing knives. He misses a few, but with every throw he got closer. Eventually, one of the scissors' hilts hit me. On the teacher's desk, there were 2 metallic 15-inch staplers, each weighing roughly 1.5 kilos each. The entitled kid grabs the staplers and hurls one at me. Luckily, I dodge it and it hits the radiator behind me. He then proceeds to throw the other one, and he misses. Out of missiles, he grabs a chair and throws that at me. The chairs we use are made of plastic and metal, by the way. He misses, hitting my stuff and causing them to fall over all over the floor. At this point, I had enough of this crotch goblin, so I dash at the kid to subdue him one more time, but friend 2 comes and stops me. The math teacher isn't here yet. Friend 2 then escorts me out of the room, and I say, "Let me go!" And he says, "Please, just calm down, mate." The entitled kid then walks out holding a chair and hurls it at me. My friend, to which till today I'm still thankful to, jumped in between, getting hit on the shoulder with the metallic leg of the chair. He yelled at this point, and the MT came out of the staff room. The math room is right next to the staff room. Friend 2 was on the floor, lying down and screaming in pain, whilst the entitled kid was yelling like a banshee again, whilst throwing pens and pencils at me. I run and subdue the jerk. By the way, it was still lunchtime. The maths teacher yells out, "What are you doing?" He sees the entitled kid under my hold screaming his lungs out, and friend 2 on the verge of crying. I say to him, "The entitled kid threw a chair at friend 2, then started to throw pens and pencils at me." The maths teacher then escorts the kid to the disciplinary monitor. Now me and the disciplinary monitor were never on good terms. Apparently I looked like a bad guy, so he would never punish the bully. The booster lesson is now finished, and so is lunch. Me, friend 1 and 3 are going to our next lesson, which was English. Friend 2 was getting ice put on his shoulder, so he missed English and the booster class. We settled down when a kid knocks on the door. Enter Cool Kid and English teacher. Cool Kid says, "Yo, the disciplinary monitor is calling for Amin." The English teacher then looks at me and goes, "Amin, why is the disciplinary monitor calling you?" Me and the English teacher were more like friends, and I said, "Can I explain this after school?" And he says, "Alright." So I go to the disciplinary monitor's office with the cool kid, and he says to the cool kid, "You can go back to class, mate." The entitled kid starts a huge grin on his face, and the monitor says, "Entitled kid, please tell me what happened." Suddenly, the entitled kid starts sobbing and making the most impossible story up. "Amin stole my lunch and ran upstairs, so I decided to follow him. I told the lunch monitor that he stole my lunch, but since he couldn't leave the lunch hall, he told me to go upstairs and tell one of the teachers. I saw OP enter the math room and tried to get my lunch, but he refused. When I grabbed my lunch, he picked me up by my leg and threw me across the classroom. He then picked me up and smashed me on the wall, before finally throwing scissors, staplers, and chairs at me. Once he finished throwing things at me, he put me under the desk and pushed a chair in. Then the math teacher came and started laughing, and after that he brought me to you." The disciplinary monitor then looked at me like I killed someone, and he goes, "Go to the admin's office and tell him what you just did." Back in my school, on Fridays, the principal would go and lead the Friday prayers and come back at around 2:30, and my school finished at 4. At this point, I was in utter shock. Not because he didn't let me say my side, but because he actually believed some crap a 12-year-old came up with. I was fuming. I decided not to escalate this and knew that the disciplinary monitor would never listen to me. I just went to the admin. The admin says, "Why are you here?" So I explain everything. "Oh, I see. I'll see what I can do. From now, just sit right here," pointing near his door. I sit there, and not even a minute later, the disciplinary monitor comes in, and he says to me, "You have to send Amin home for bullying. On Monday, we will sit down with his parents and the big principal. We'll talk about what we should do with him." And the admin says, Now, You can't just base everything on what the entitled kid says. And the monitor replies, he never lies. Still. Coincidentally, the entitled kid walks past the admin office. He proceeds to walk in front of me. The disciplinary monitor and admin were too busy talking to notice what happened now. The entitled kid bites himself and kicks me in the nutsack before screaming, "Ah, sir, he just bit me!" I'm groaning in pain at this. The monitor looks at me and says, "Stop faking it! I know you bit him!" He then proceeds to call my parents. Now, my mum is severely ill and my dad works abroad. Enter Gigi, Granddad. DM puts the phone on loudspeaker so that the admin can hear as well. He says, "Hello? This is the disciplinary monitor calling. Amin's parents here?" "Yes." My mum says, "Hello." The monitor says, "Could you please meet me for your son's behavior? I cannot explain everything over the phone." "Oh, sorry, I'm extremely ill and his dad is working abroad. I will send my dad if it's alright." "Sorry, you have to come." At this point, I'm starting to get even more ticked. First, this piece of crap accuses me out of all of these things, then tries to force my mum to come to some proofless meeting. My mum says, "I'm sorry, but I can barely walk." The monitor says, "But you must come. Your son has critically injured another student." The entitled kid was fine. He was standing there smiling. "He did what? Don't worry, I am on my way." "Okay, please be quick." At this point, I am fuming. Anything else and I would have snapped, just as I suspected. The disciplinary monitor has the audacity to say, "Take him out of the GCSE exams and expel him from this school." Admin says, "Have you listened to Amin's point of view?" "No, and I don't need to. The entitled kid here would never lie." To this, I actually snapped. "If you think I'm lying, then check the cameras." He says to me, "Mister, lower your tone." I won't, because 1, you accuse me of almost killing this entitled kid. 2, you make my mum come for some stupid meeting with a blatant lie. And 3, you want to take me out of the GCSE exams. Check the cameras and then talk. Just as I said that, the principal walked in and said, "What is happening here?" The entitled kid says, "Sir, he beat me up and then bit me." The principal raises an eyebrow at this, and the disciplinary monitor says, "The entitled kid's not lying. He never lies." Then the kid starts crying. The admin says, disciplinary monitor hasn't heard Amin's point of view, nor has he watched the CCTV footage. He didn't listen to the eyewitnesses either. Normally, the admin's a total jerk, but everybody hated the entitled kid, apart from the disciplinary monitor. The big principal says, "Amin, what happened?" So, now I explain everything to him, and he says, "I see. So what happened, entitled kid?" Then the entitled kid tells his twisted version of the story. The big principal then says, "Disciplinary monitor, I would like to hear your opinion on this, as clearly the stories do not match up." Monitor says, "I say Amin gets expelled." What? No need to go that far. We don't even know who's lying. He knew who was lying, alright, but he was trying to make this fair. The monitor says, "Fine, I called OP's mum. She's coming with his grandfather. We will watch the footage once they're here." When the monitor said that, I was honestly so happy. If I could, I would have jumped up and down at that. About half an hour later, my mum comes with my grandfather. "Sorry for being late." The monitor, with a smug face, says, "Don't worry. Please play the CCTV footage." Admin says, "OP and entitled kid, come in." Monitor says, No, let the entitled kid go back to class." Admin says, "Entitled kid, you can go back to class." Then my mum says, "OP, what have you done, Amin?" "Just watch the footage, mum." So then the admin plays the footage. And as the footage was being played, the monitor's jaw kept on dropping lower and lower. Both my grandfather and my own mother were pretty ticked at this point. The principal had a giant smile on his face, and the admin was trying to hold back his laughter. The footage then ends. I say to him, "Disciplinary monitor, what did I tell you? I was innocent. He even hurt one of my friends." So the admin calls in the friend too, and asks, "Who threw the chair?" And he says, "Oh, it was the entitled kid." Admin says back, "Okay, you can go back to class, mate." My mum and granddad just walked out of the office without saying a word, while I just smirked at the disciplinary monitor, who looked like as if his world just crumbled. The principal said, "Disciplinary monitor, I would have fired you, but I will let you off this one time. Amin, please return to lesson." I then just go back to class where I'm greeted like a hero. Turns out the entitled kid was harassing other kids as well, and the monitor was always siding with him. That was the last time I saw the entitled kid. Also, when I got home, no one even said anything about it. Later, from a friend, I found out that the entitled kid goes to a boarding school now, where they have zero tolerance. Seriously, he came back to visit a broken man. I can assure you that this story is 100% real. If you don't believe me, then it's fine. By the way, me and my brother went to different schools. I'm older by 1 year and 6 months. Hey there guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think of it in the comments and I'll be sure to get back to you. If you want to see some of my latest content, smash that big old box in the middle and subscribe for more background noise. Also, check out my new channel called Cobber, link in the description and in that card at the top right of the screen. With that said, this has been I Read Reddit and I'm signing off today. Hooroo mate.